Hi guys, welcome back to Griffin's Gaming Guides. Today I want to go through part 2 of 2 for our main bosses in Dark Souls 3. This is every compulsory boss defeated. We're going to start the guide off from Aldrich and work our way through the rest of the story. I'll put a card in just here so you can find your way back to part 1, just in case you haven't watched that one just yet. And also, make sure you stick around on Griffin's Gaming Guides as I'll have the optional boss video uploaded soon as well. So first up here we have Aldrich the Devourer of Gods in Anor Londo. Now, for such an iconic setting, this is one of the most broken bosses in the entirety of Dark Souls 3. It's RNG really whether or not you're going to win this one. He's got a very nasty arrow attack where he can fire one arrow up in the air and it will suddenly spawn 500,000 arrows that kind of land on your head. There's not really any way of getting out of the way of this. You can roll and sprint as much as you want. If the game decides that the arrows are going to get you, they're going to get you. And then that's you done, you're dead. It's as simple as that. There's hardly any defense against these things. You need to get this guy taken down as soon as you can. If he gets an opportunity to play about with his magic too much, you're not going to survive the fight. Now, he does spawn in the furthest corner away from where you are after he's gone underground. As soon as you see his animation start, you need to get over there as soon as you can, get in a few good hits and then run away. He's got some very strong fire attacks later on in the fight as well. So make sure you drop this guy as soon as you can. Next up, we're going after Yhorm the Giant in the Profane capital. You'll fight this guy with a Storm Ruler sword. Any of you that remember Demon Souls, it's the very similar sort of effect that you're going to be using against Yhorm. As soon as the fight starts, run up to where his throne is and grab the item, Storm Ruler. If you're quick enough, you can equip this and then deal with him. However, I recommend that you use a Homeward Bone and get out of there. Go back to the bonfire, equip it, familiarise yourself with the weapon as this weapon charges up. Each time it charges up and you unleash this attack against Yhorm, it will take 1/5 of his health off. Now you can charge this weapon at part 1 of the fight and then run around for a little bit avoiding his attacks. As soon as you've got the opportunity, hold the L2 or left trigger button again and then press R2 or right trigger to unleash the attack against him. This is your fastest way of dealing with Yhorm as his defense otherwise is incredibly high. Next up, we've got Dancer of the Boreal Valley. This one is probably one of the hardest fights in Dark Souls 3. And I am including the Nameless King and Dark Eater Madeira in this one as well. You need to make sure you've done some serious levelling and you've got some very powerful equipment and very strong armour before you even worry about this fight. The first stage of the fight isn't too bad. You'll do a couple of swinging attacks, you might grab hold of you. We can deal with that one, that's fine. We've dealt with a lot worse coming up to this. However, the second stage, where she pulls a second sword out of the ground, that's when she gets real. Her most deadly attack is where she does several pirouettes across the arena, spinning her swords at you very quickly and, more importantly, very deadly. Use the pillars to your advantage and then stay a good couple of metres back from the pillar itself, as her swords can go straight through the pillars without damaging them, still allowing you to get hit, obviously. Try and stay on her ass as best as you can, and watch out for a left hand that can sweep round and grab hold of you, dealing some incredibly strong fire damage. Don't feel too bad if this one takes you a good few attempts to actually get done. It is one of the most difficult fights in Dark Souls 3. Next up, we've got the Dragon Slayer armour. This guy has an incredibly large shield and deals lightning damage against you. He's very susceptible to dark and fire. One of the more imposing elements of this fight is the dragons that are off to his left and right. These guys can send a meteor shower down on you, which is pretty much a game over as soon as they hit you. You need to kind of stay close to him, but at a distance. I recommend you stay a good 2 to 3 metres away from him, as that way it will give you enough of an opportunity to get up to him when he's about to do one of his charged attacks with his axe, or to back away very quickly when he's about to slam you with his shield. Also, watch out for when he is dead, as the dragons can still fire on you for a good few seconds after the Dragon Slayer's been dropped, so be aware of that one. I recommend, as soon as the Dragon Slayer's health has gone, sprint up to where the bonfire is, obviously opposite the end from the fog gate. Next up, we've got the Twin Princes. These guys can use some incredibly powerful magic attacks against you, especially in the second phase of the fight. For the first phase, you need to get used to when he's going to teleport and where he's going to land his attacks. If he charges up a magic spell, whereby you'll see a large white light emitting from his sword, you need to dodge right or left right at the last second. If you dodge too early, this spell would track and still hit you. Once the first brother's been downed, they'll then pair up against you. They use exactly the same teleport attacks that they were using initially. However, now they've got some very powerful magic thrown in the mix on top. You need to get these guys taken down very quickly, or you won't last long in this one. One of the biggest issues you're going to face against this fight. Once you've defeated Lorien, once his health bar's empty, Lothric can then revive him. Now, he can revive him quite quickly. So take this opportunity to get up to Lothric and deal your most powerful attacks against him once Lorien's been dropped. And finally, the last boss you'll come up against in Dark Souls 3's main story is the iconic Soul of Cinder. This guy is kind of an homage and a love letter to everything good about the Dark Souls series as far as I'm concerned. It is absolutely fantastic. The fight itself takes place in the Kiln of the First Flame. It is an absolutely legendary fight. Anyway, I'll stop gushing and we'll get on with the tactics. This guy he's got some very powerful combos. He can close distance incredibly quickly. Once you've defeated the first phase, obviously his entire health bar, he'll then basically become reborn and overpowered. It's at this phase that you're going to have a bit of a problem. You need to make sure that you've got some very powerful fire resistant armor, very high physical defense, and I recommend going in with a very strong two-handed weapon if you're playing a melee build, or some incredibly strong lightning spells if you're going in as a magic build. By this stage of the game you should be very good now at rolling through attacks so that you land on the back side of the enemy. Take your advantages when they come to you in this fight, as again, like I say in a lot of these fights in Dark Souls 3, if you try and play about too much, they'll punish you for it. So guys, I do hope that this guide has helped you out somewhat, defeating the final bosses in Dark Souls 3. I know quite a few of you are still new to the game. Make sure you stick around on Griffin's Gaming Guide, as I'll have the optional boss guide up very soon as well. I'd just like to say thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see, please hit the like button. Let me know down in the comment section how you got on against the bosses in Dark Souls 3. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. After you subscribe, please hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our future content. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.